to receive a custom-designed, scientifically sound behavior action plan that is holistically based. Browse the website and enjoy free articles and valuable health and beauty information. Receive your free holistic skincare ebook. KoriGaila.com.
All right, thank you and welcome back. I'm here with my guest, Seymour Koblin from San Diego, and your school is the International School of Healing Arts. Is that correct, Seymour?
That's correct.
So I'm so happy to have Seymour here today. He's actually one of my instructors from a very long time ago, probably, gosh, back in 1996, maybe. I went to his school, for Shiatsu, body work. I did some sound therapy classes with you. So that was amazing. And Seymour's an amazing instructor, but also a great practitioner. There were a few things I wanted to share, with my audience that he specializes in. Some of his martial art forms, Japanese massage, I know you specialize in, sound therapy. And so, with COVID right now, kind of one of the themes that has been kind of really across the board in a lot of my shows is really like stress management. And, people are going through so much emotionally right now, so much transition, a lot of grieving and loss. And energetically, people are kind of feeling a little bit low. And I do really feel that certain things like practicing Tai Chi for really, or you said you practice Tai Chi Gong. It's a different form that you work with, and sound therapy, and even the Shiatsu massage. And so many of these things really do help to kind of balance and really uplift spirits and kind of help shift people out of this sort of like a lot of people are in a lot of fear and nervous about things and kind of in a bit of a funk too, kind of around the globe right now. So I'll let you go ahead and kind of take the floor.
Sounds good. Well, my original life was as a musician, playing in R&B, rock and roll, and jazz bands, and that I thought was going to be the rest of my life. I had a near-death experience after misdiagnosed appendicitis, and I almost lost my life. And I came back because I heard a voice saying, "Seymour, what are you doing? Get back in your body." And I pulled myself back in my body and started doing a different direction. So using the vibration of music in more of a healing way, and to take care of myself and manage my own root and center, I started learning Tai Chi, Qigong, Shiatsu, nutrition, herbology, and many, many other holistic health forms. And so I still use music and sound as part of my actual private sessions, and also teaching people how to use vibration for healing, which ultimately everything is vibration. I mean, we know that from physics, it's all vibration. And I think from another a simpler way to look at this is that from Chinese medicine, any problem that we have in our lives is because of distribution of energy. So if the energy is evenly distributed and somewhat moderately balanced, it's able to circulate to whatever part of the body requires the chi, the ki, the energy, the prana, right? So what's happening a lot is that when we have an area that has too much energy held in or stagnated, and then there's going to be an equally opposite energy that is empty and yearning for attention. So once we find ways to get that energy to move, then the body takes care and heals itself.
Yeah, that's used in Chinese medicine specifically, but also Ayurveda and Japanese medicine, similar, right? So I know that Shiatsu was the form of massage that I studied, and there's a meridian system in Japanese massage and points, but it's slightly different than Chinese medicine. Is that correct? Or the meridians, do they flow the same way? Or maybe you can even start with explaining what a meridian is to my audience, because Maybe not all my viewers even know what a meridian in the body relates to.
Well, you can think of a meridian like the nervous system. We have nerves that go from the center of the spine, and they move out neurological connections to all the internal organs. So it's really, really similar to the nervous system. I mean, the nervous system is electrical. And so the ancient cultures knew that in some way, and they just called that meridian lines instead of neurological connections or neurological pathways. They just called them meridian lines. I mean, there are differences, and that's just a very, very simple.
Okay.
So ready to go? All right.
Yep.
So we were comparing the nervous system with the meridian system, and it's very similar, so that if a nerve gets constricted or impinged because a vertebrae is out of alignment, then it affects the messaging to a particular organ. And so that's almost the same thing as the meridian system. If there's something stuck and caught, then it affects the rest of the body.
And so by even like with massage, or I guess in acupuncture you would use needles, by working on those meridians, and sometimes by doing like acupressure, right, which is just pressure on those points, you can kind of help move that energy to another part of the body, right? That's the theory.
That place that has the energy stuck or held in gets educated simply through touch, as an example, or through sound, to go, oh, I understand, this is supposed to move to this. Much better. And ideally, the body remembers that pathway and does that more often, so a person develops a root and a stability because they remember what balance is supposed to feel like, and they make it feel that way. And so when there's disturbances and energies, whether it's the moon or whatever might be going on, or a relationship, then the body ideally remembers, okay, wait a minute, I remember what it's like to be in between all of that chaos. And that's the healing state.
Right. So homeostasis, or a point of balance, but really on like a Taoist philosophy of this idea of the yin and the yang, or the balance between both polarities, but bringing everything to balance allows the body actually to heal itself, as opposed to going in there and say, well, I mean, I guess if you could think about, like, if energy was completely stagnant and not moving at all, you might get a growth, or like a cyst or a tumor or something. That's in the very extreme sense of like a blocked energy. But by keeping that energy moving, it allows the body to get the nourishment that it needs through the nervous system to keep the cells happy and to keep the body healthy, and like that.
That's a great explanation. Yeah, it's a great explanation.
Yeah. And so does it work with the circulatory system a little bit as well, the meridians, or it's mostly nervous system?
The circulatory system and the electrical system work together. So the electricity gets the blood moving to whatever organ requires nourishment and cleansing, because we get nourished through the blood, and we also cleanse through the blood. So the electrical system, or the meridians, or the nervous system, sends the blood to whatever part of the body is looking for attention. And then blood, you mentioned accumulation like a tumor, then the blood can actually flow more evenly and start to dissolve any physical stagnation that may have accumulated in the body.
Right. So an energy blockage in, like, say, Chinese medicine is called very stagnant. So you would call it stagnant qi, qi being the energy, or in Japanese it's ki. So that stagnant energy. And so I know I love the Shiatsu class that I took with you, and it's a very different form of massage than, like, say, Swedish, or I do a lot of lomi lomi. I'm in Hawaii, right? But it is really a mat on the floor and a lot of stretching. And maybe you could just go really briefly into, like, what is the difference really between, like, say, a Shiatsu massage? If someone was looking to go in to get a massage, what would they expect if they were going to sign up for Shiatsu?
Okay, well, Shiatsu is actually, traditional Shiatsu is actually very different than when you learned in my school. Traditional Shiatsu is point oriented and very symptomatic oriented. So if there's something wrong, let's say constipation, well, you touch large intestine 4 and that stimulates the intestine. Okay, the kind of Shiatsu that I do, which I call Zen-Touch, the reason I call it Zen is because we don't do anything. I actually don't want to change. If I'm working on you, I don't want to change you. Okay, you can get in trouble when you say, look, I know better than you and I want to change you because I think I know better than you. I mean, that doesn't work, right? So the kind of Shiatsu that I do is called Zen Shiatsu. And to borrow from a Taoist phrase, is Wu Wei, which is by doing nothing,
Right.
everything gets done.
Exactly.
So by simply pointing out where the imbalances are, your own healing system goes, oh, I see, that's the direction that I'm going to heal myself in.
Mm-hmm.
And that's very, very different than traditional Shiatsu.
Mm-hmm. I
And
see.
even acupuncture, right? So acupuncture goes in and tweaks
Right.
and actually changes the energy flow. That's really the last thing I would want to do, because then that would leave you dependent on an external force, in this case, a practitioner, when what I want to foster, what I'm choosing to foster, is that the people that I work with, they heal themselves. So if
Right.
I'm doing my job right, then you don't have to come back.
Right. Right. And hence the term School of Self-Heal, right?
Right, exactly. Well,
There you
that's
go.
another school, yeah, self-heal, yeah.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
And that's ultimately what we want. We might say, oh, can you please heal me today because I got things to do. Ultimately, we want to learn how to heal ourselves.
Yeah. It just takes a dedication and determination and focus and practice and habit, right?
It's a choice. A disciple is discipline. So it takes discipline and
Right.
a choice to say, I get to do this on my own. I get to heal myself rather than be dependent on someone else to change me. I mean, you know what it's like in a relationship where somebody says, you should do this. I know better than you and you should do this. I mean, we resist that. Okay?
Right. And so explain a little bit, because having a regular practice of, like, say, your Tai Chi practice, can you explain how, because that is a daily practice that you can, learn and begin having a regular ritual with, that actually helps to keep that energy moving. Can you just explain a little bit about the, I don't know, the philosophy behind it, or the how it actually works, the mechanics of it?
I'll demonstrate, and you can do this. Okay? So put your hands like this.
Yes.
Okay? Now, breathe. Remember to breathe deeply into your belly and play with the space between your hands.
Right.
And as long as the mind is fairly quiet, you'll start to feel something between your hands. So go close, go far, like an accordion, right? An energy accordion without touching. And you're going to start to feel sensations, right?
Mm-hmm.
You feel like a magnetism or a tingling. Okay, so that's chi.
Right.
That's mana, all right? Now, wait a minute, keep going. Keep going.
Okay.
Now, while you're doing that, put your attention on your little finger. And please, anybody who's watching would join along. If you put your attention on your little finger, it feels like it gets heavier or more concentrated, right?
Yes.
Then do your ring finger, your middle finger. Just put your attention there. Your index finger, now your whole hand, because attention was put on a certain place, feels more charged. It feels more vibration. So that's chi flow. It's very, very simple. So you can either do that off the body, which is like what Reiki does, or palm healing, right? Or you can actually feel the energy in a point and connect points in the body to make energy flow.
Yes. And so how does that work with Tai Chi? You're generating more energy through the movement.
So with Tai Chi, all we're doing is we're feeling that energy and we're just moving it through different postures. So it's lengthening and contracting and expanding. And with our legs in the correct position, with the pelvis tucked under, keeping the spine straight, that makes energy move from the earth below to the heaven above, and the heaven above to the earth below, through various movements that affect different meridian lines in the body through the different movements.
Mm-hmm.
And so
this is a regular self-practice that can really help prevent that stagnant chi that we were talking about, right?
Yes, prevent would be the first level, okay? The next level is to cultivate a very, very high level of chi development so that we can, instead of just focusing on the physical body, we can actually get into much, much higher states of intuition and understanding what's going on around us, despite the stories that people might be making up and all of that. We tap into the flow of heaven and earth, and reality becomes actually, and wisdom becomes quite simple because the chi is constantly moving without getting stuck.
Mm-hmm. Very, very cool.
So
And
free-flowing chi leads to higher consciousness, emotions that actually bring us closer instead of pushing away from other people, which is a lot of that's going on because the stories that we're hearing nowadays, true or false or whatever they are, keep us up here, and then the chi doesn't flow throughout the rest of the body.
Yes, yes. And then we can go ahead and those wheels just keep spinning upstairs, and then it becomes difficult to make good decisions or to really kind of even accomplish anything. Everything becomes a little bit more arduous because we're so caught up in our spinning wheels and the story that we're running.
Right, and you spoke about
just flowing.
Yeah, it's just flowing. You spoke about sound therapy, and that's why people love music so much, because music gets us out of our head. You know, you hear a song you like and your body's moving, you're moving to it, and so you're not in your head anymore. You're in your body, and then wisdom can come in. So we get to quiet this smaller part of our body, which is just 1/7 of the rest of us, and activate the body, and then wisdom comes through. And that's, again, the sound vibration of music is something that, I mean, everybody loves sound. So when you hear you're feeling vibration even through long distance in a computer, right?
Yeah, and I relax like right away. I use the Tibetan bowls, in my practice, and it really, I like to play. I have a recording I play in the morning, and it just kind of sets the tone for the whole day, and I almost feel like it almost like cleans the house for me in a way, like I can come in and my house will feel a little bit like, sad. Sometimes my house feels a little sad, been a little damp or rainy, and I put that on, and I do feel it really uplifts. It feels like it brightens the home and just changes the whole atmosphere.
Right. And so these external things, food, acupressure, all of these are external factors. Probably the highest level, as you were saying, I feel a little sad. Well, that's adverse conditions. Those are scenarios that are here to help us heal. Mm-hmm. And so without sound, or without touch, or without energy work, if we just tap into where the vibrations are showing up when you're sad or angry or in anxiety, whatever it might be, when we go, where does that show up? And we use the breath as the musical instrument. Mm-hmm. And the breath sends those feelings and that energy to whatever part of the body needs it.
Right.
So instead of going why, where, when, how much, is there a book on it, why did this happen, who's saying that, and what's true, we simply go, where do I feel this inspiration or this stress? Mm-hmm. Breathe through it, and that's waking meditation.
Mm-hmm.
without external factors. We learn to use our emotions instead of our emotions using us, because emotions are the only source of energy that are not outside of us. They're contained within us. Food comes from outside. Oxygen comes from outside. Right? If you're pissed off about something, that came from inside.
Right.
So when I feel, oh, I got to get somewhere, and that's inside. Nobody put it there. It's not the person at the checkout line who's taking their time and unorganized. It's my internal feelings that are the cause and the source of healing.
Correct. And also that source of disease or imbalance as well. When you let your anger go wild, or anxiety and stress, I mean, the correlation between stressful lifestyle and diseases, I mean, there's even now so many even peer-reviewed journals, and really like connecting that it's just really a almost a direct result of continued stress and what it does to the body. Now, we talk on an energetic level, but that also ends up being a chemical level, and that changes our cells and really can lead to disease. So really, when you're talking about emotion, it is being able to regulate those yourself, and these practices, it sounds like what you're saying is really incorporating these practices can allow you to better regulate, so you can stay in a better vibration and a better emotional state, and not be so easily like pushed around by the external world, and being reactive to that checker in line while you're waiting for your groceries, but being able to take a deep breath and just understand that this is just where I am and it's okay.
Yeah, and the actual method is, instead of to go, I'm in stress right now, and go, why is it happening? How can I change it? Or any of that, is to simply go, where is it showing up in my body?
Where am I feeling it physically?
Physical sensations are feelings, right? And so where it is gives us the location of where we actually have a lot of energy that has been built up. So we notice that because more energy is coming in from the outside.
Right.
We know where it is, and we breathe into it, and now it starts to circulate to go to places that have been craving that energy.
Right. Like I know that, especially when I work with clients, of course, doing massage specifically, right? It's so much in the traps, the upper shoulders, people say, right? And it is that anxiety, that fight or flight, where people will roll those shoulders up, and then over time it becomes concentrated in those areas. So tapping into that when you do feel stressed, or people will say, oh, I feel that in the pit of my stomach, like something very upsetting to you, and you might get that fluttering sensation in your belly, to just have that awareness. And then you're saying, just kind of breathe into that space where you're feeling it, to help move it to the rest of the body, so that it doesn't concentrate there and become stagnant. Yeah, so it's just bringing your awareness to that, and just with that intention, as like you were demonstrating with the hands, just having that intention is enough to almost just go ahead and move that, right? And using the breath as your tool.
That's right.
Yeah, I know that's what we do as body workers, right? We use our breath with our intention to move that. Yeah, awesome. And so, what are you doing now? You were mentioning a little bit to me about an aromatherapy blend that you've created, that you've been using.
Well, most people use aromatherapy in a very, very symptomatic way. I mean, almost everybody. So that you've heard that eucalyptus works for the lungs, or peppermint works for blah, 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 right? But instead of looking at symptoms, we're looking at the systems that are integrated with the forces of nature. So this is from Chinese and also Ayurveda. They have a slightly different way of looking at it. The seasons of the year integrate our lives with nature, right? So winter is, well, maybe not in Hawaii so much, but in most places.
We have our winter. I can sleep at night now with the window closed. So
yeah, right. So integrating those seasonal energetics is literally how we manifest integrating our lives with nature. So if somebody has too much summer energy in their life, which relates to the heart and passion and too much direction in too many different places. So if somebody has too much summer in their life, then there's something going on in another season that might be empty. So that's sometimes called fire-like energy. Summer is like fire-like. Whereas water-like energy is more like our dream space, our big picture, it's our life purpose and our reason for being on this planet. Reminding ourselves of that takes some of that charge off of the fire and makes a better balance between the water-like energy of our dream life purpose and our anxiety or our chaos, you could say. So the essential oil blends are meant to integrate the source of a person's symptoms, because everybody might have shoulder tension or a headache or a cold, whatever it might be. The reasons they have it are because of some misalignment with the forces of nature, that these symptoms are a signal to change. And so we change at the source, and once again the energy is more balanced, and then the body can heal. Just like it heals a cut on a finger, the body knows how to heal everything.
Right. Body's smart that way.
That's right. You just get to give it an environment.
And exactly.
Yeah.
It's an innate intelligence, and I think everything on the planet is that way, you know. I mean, the plants, the animals, right? They're getting the water, the food that they need, the proper environment, and they thrive, you know. I think that's
trees
true.
are the best example. Wherever you live, they're having the same air that, polluted air, and the soil's malnourished and all that. They live for 1,000 years, okay? Because they have got their center. They've learned how to move within that root. And so when we do that too, that breeds longevity.
Very nice. Well, thank you so much for everything you have shared. And so what are you doing these days? You're teaching? You have your school still? Or are you?
Well, I travel quite a bit between Europe and mostly San Diego, but other places in the USA too. And so right now I am doing a lot of work on camera and all of that. And I also have a lot of private students in different places that I work with, or small groups, because a lot of the schools have basically kind of shut down a little bit, right? So, but it's kind of neat because I'm getting a lot of really interested people who want to know the source of a lot of things that you might not regularly get just from taking standardized courses in massage schools.
Right.
So it's been kind of a neat time for me, actually.
Yeah, it's definitely an interesting time on the planet, for sure. So wonderful. So what is your web address if people are interested in learning more about you?
It's ISOHARTS, ISOHARTS.com. It's like International School of Hearts, Healing Arts. ISOHARTS.com. Or you can just look up Seymour Koblin, and I'm all over the place, and you'll find me.
Great. Well, it was so great seeing you again. I think it's been like 20 years or more.
I think you were in the Watsu pool.
I was a long time ago. Yeah. That is the Facebook, man. It's a small miracle. Not a plug for Facebook or anything, but my God, it's a small miracle. How many people, from the past, and
for sure.
Pretty amazing. All right. Well, thank you so much for joining me today. I really appreciate all you were able to share with us. It's fascinating, and it's a perfect time to share with our viewer audience all these kind of helpful self-care, healing things that they can do, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, aloha, Seymour. Thank you so much.
Okay. Aloha, mahalo. Happy healing, everybody.
Visit KoriGaila.com